Because the issue some people raised when we got that report was that people like the officer, Coyote, you saw on that particular, in that particular clip, ordinarily will be eased out of the system because he's fighting against an unwholesome system and the cabal, a system that had over almost 50 phones seized. And if you go through
92.
92.
Wow. 92 phones seized.
So how well can you reward such people? We're talking about reward now, we're talking about protection of their jobs now, because in times past, the thing is, people like that are eased out of the system.
Not under my watch. As a matter of fact, if I had listened to suggestions from the people.
In other words, suggestions had come.
Yeah. Coyote wouldn't be there anymore. As I'm talking to you, if I had acceded to some of the demands that were put forward, immediately I came into the country and went to the prison. Even on Sunday, Coyote wouldn't be there anymore. And what I have done, like in all circumstances, is to assure some of these officers of protection. As long as I remain the Minister of Interior, those ones that are fighting corruption, malfeasances, infractions of the law, or the regulations of the system, would definitely have my protection. And if you ask people that are members of the board and watchers and even people in the service, we have promoted people, giving them enhanced ranks, steps in their salaries on account of patriotic service to the nation. A lady in Jos of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps refused 500,000 naira to compromise on an election duty. We promoted her. The man in Bayelsa now, Commandant Agu, performed very gallantly. When I went to Jos, in the face of the crisis in Jos, even where some officers of other security agencies wouldn't dare to take me to the scene of some confrontation with the Fulanis, Agu, as commandant then, acting commandant then in Jos, took me all the way to the scene. And we went around the place, looked at the place. Today, he's no longer acting commandant, he's commandant, and in Bayelsa State, serving in Bayelsa State. And so I have made it a point of duty to ensure that those who show examples of how effective service delivery can be achieved have been rewarded. And I can tell you that they are happy for it.
We also understand that there are those with the designation of super prisoners, and that some of them don't sleep in the cell. They go somewhere else in town to sleep and then come back. Have you also heard about that?
Well, I have heard some of these stories, and I know that people categorize them as super prisoners because they compromise our prison officers to enjoy certain facilities that other prisoners don't enjoy. I cannot really confirm that they go out of the cell to sleep outside and come back to the cell, but I can tell you that stories make the rounds that this category of persons can have their phones, can have unlimited access to members of the public and the rest of them.
In fact, they said they even go to nightclubs and then come back.
Well, like I said, you know certainly that if I know that they go to nightclubs, if the prison authority, at least the high command of the prison authorities know that they go to, they would never, ever tolerate that. And so whatever they are doing, they must have been doing under the cover of night or away from the eyes of the authority. But I can assure you that these are stories that we hear, stories that definitely we cannot confirm. But the steps we take immediately, these stories are, especially when I hear, I either send text to the Controller General of Prison or call him. In Kuje, for instance, where we have what we can call high-profile prisoners, we have taken steps almost the other day to ensure that some of these unwholesome practices do not occur. But let me also say that, you see, it's part of the whole thing, the whole problem that we are confronted with. If you get strict to the point of enforcing to the letter regulations of the prison system, people will complain. If you don't get strict, if you don't do it to the limit of ensuring conformity with the situation, people will complain. But I assure you of one thing, that we have insisted that we will go ahead and step on toes if it means doing the right thing. And that is the spirit that we have taken in the prison system. Of course, our prison service or system now is certainly a sorry state. Prisons built as far back as 1917 are still the prisons that we're using today.
Are you working on that? Is there a blueprint to see that these
right
are
now,
being reconstructed
Yeah.
to meet modern times?
Yeah. We have taken steps, but against the serious problem of inadequate funding. Right now, as I'm talking to you, we are reconstructing the prison in Otupu. We are reconstructing the prison in Kotunkarifi. We are reconstructing the prison in Numan and Gashua. We are reconstructing the prison in Yola. All these reconstructions of new prisons to replace the old prisons have reached advanced stages of completion, some 85, some 95. But unfortunately, of the 239 prisons in Nigeria, and 50% of them are the old age. These are the ones that we are doing now, and we must take them one at a step because we don't have all the money to do all of them at a time.
I want to quickly come in here, sorry, Chamberlain, because when we talk about Interior Ministry, a whole lot falls within your ministry, and it wouldn't be nice. Now we're talking about compensation, people that have been rewarded, great officers and men within your ministry. But again, we recall the very unfortunate incident. You made a national broadcast addressing people who died in that very unfortunate immigration NIS recruitment exercise. People were very, very happy about the way the government handled it, but people have been sending messages. They're worried that the promise made that time, because they wouldn't be happy that you're here and we don't bring that before you because we have the messages. That promises made to the families of those who died about giving them jobs and some form of compensation has still not been kept by the government.
Yeah. Again, I have had occasion to talk to the people of Nigeria, to appeal to them for understanding. I have also been talking with some members of the families.
Oh, you're still in touch with them?
Of course, I'm in touch with some of them. They come to my office, we relate, we've been talking and explaining to ourselves why we are where we are now. From the outside, the next day, Mr. President made a pronunciation of steps to ameliorate the situation. Action should have been taken, issues should have been sorted out, employment given, compensation or whatever sort, assistance given. But the situation on ground is the fact that Mr. President, in making that pronouncement, also set up a committee to look at the whole gamut of problems associated with that recruitment, and of course even recruitments in other sectors. And of course you also know that Mr. President had, on the backdrop of information available to him, insisted that subsequently every other MDA that was going to do recruitment must necessarily provide for it in the budget of that ministry or MDA. And so now the committee went to work, and I have been interacting with the committee and members, and the truth about it is that as soon as Mr. President made that pronouncement, everybody became a victim. And so claims of I am also a victim, I'm also a victim, inundated the ministry, inundated the committee, inundated the immigration service. And so they had to sift these requests, these claims, compare it with the records available from the 4 centers where these incidents occurred out of the 37 centers. And so finally, I can tell you, like I told them before, the report is ready, waiting for submission and consideration. But one thing is for certain, the pronouncement by Mr. President is a directive. There is no way anybody will not implement it. And so, having sieved the claims, having put together the number of persons that were affected as much as they could, the next level now is the implementation. And I want to take this one now for the opportunity time. The importance that Mr. President attaches to this situation underscored his appointment of Chief of Staff as a coordinator of the whole activities of sorting out the problem associated with the immigration saga. So I think that what I can say here is for the people who are affected, the people who are expecting to exercise more understanding, to exercise more patience, bearing in mind that definitely, when everything is properly put together, don't forget that we are coming from the background of a failed attempt to do some exercise. And therefore, nobody will allow for any further mistake to be made on the line, especially on this particular situation. And therefore, everything is being meticulously put together to ensure that when the result comes out and is implemented, everybody says at least some correction has been made.